What's happening, people? We are here. We are live. Big up to everybody locked in on this absolutely sunny day. It is so hot. It's so sunny. I'm sorry in advance, guys, if you can hear a little whizzing noise because I've got my fan on, because otherwise I will absolutely melt here live on stream. But big up to everyone locked in. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. Another day, another stream. You know, I said I was going to be consistent. So, of course, we are here live. And there's always a bit to talk about, especially with Manchester United. There's always something to talk about. So be sure to hit the like button, guys, and be sure to subscribe. If you want to join the Minions gang, you can. Pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges. I think it's the pinned comment in the chat anyways. You get your badges. You get your emojis. You get your custom member content as well. And, of course, you get to support the growth of the channel. If you want to support the channel in other ways, you can send in a super chat with your appreciation, with your thoughts, with your comments, with your questions, because we are going to talk about quite a bit of stuff today. It's not just going to be transfer talk. It's not going to just be transfer news. We're going to talk about other stuff that are happening at Manchester United, in and around the club, that can actually impact the team in many different ways. Big up to David in the chat. Big up Radwan says, I'm absolutely cooked. My room is like an oven. Yeah, my studio it's toast in here right now. It is absolutely toast. I need to invest in like an AC unit or something for the 5 days of sunshine that we have here in the UK. If you're not from the UK, by the way, guys, UK doesn't really have consistent sunshine like that. But when we do have sunshine, it is just baking hot. And the houses in the UK are made to store heat because it's just naturally tends to be a cold place. So when it gets hot here, guys, sometimes it gets to a point, sorry, I know this is off topic, but I don't know if you're from the UK, I'm sure you can relate. Sometimes it's more hot inside your house than it is outside. When you go out, you're like, oh, you know what? This is actually not too bad. But inside your house, it is literally a sauna. Unless you got money and you got an AC unit, you just have to put a bunch of fans in your house. Sometimes it really, really gets like that. But big up to everyone, like I said, be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. We've got a lot to talk about today. So I'm going to talk about the most recent news. Of course, there's a lot of things happening in the world of Manchester United women as well. There's a lot of things happening, but I will have a video out on that for the people that want to, stay updated and all of that kind of stuff. But this is the newest part that we're going to start with, the newest news regarding Manchester United and naming rights. Manchester United, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos are considering selling the naming rights to the legendary, the iconic Old Trafford. Once it's refurbished, or it's once they build a new stadium, they are considering selling the naming rights to seek up a drive in revenue to fund the project. The club are also deliberating over substantial ticket price rises, so fans could see a hike in ticket prices, which has been increasing year on year. I know a lot of other clubs have increased quite drastically, especially clubs like Newcastle, etc. But essentially, Manchester United fans can potentially have to deal with a hike in prices and Old Trafford not being called Old Trafford anymore. Now, when you look at a lot of stadiums in European football, naming rights are a thing, especially if you look at like just sports in general. In basketball, it's a big thing. A lot of like the basketball arenas are named after like different sponsorship brands, etc. In a way that it kind of brings revenue for the team. And Manchester United look like they are seeking that alternative route, A, to bring in revenue to the club, and B, to try provide some funds to help with this project, Project Old Trafford, whatever they want to call it, project, what are they calling it? Refurbishment, rebuilding, whatever it is. This is the route that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is going down. In the event of a refurbishment, one option may be Manchester United will allow it to retain the name Old Trafford, but seek to have an associated partner. Whereas in the event of a completely new building, United are open to selling the name altogether, which they hope would command tens of millions of pounds. Now, since Sir Jim Ratcliffe has come into Manchester United, it has been very clear they are here to cut the costs and try revolutionize the revenue for the club, however it is. Now, if we're going to come to it as well, it's no secret. Carrington is not called Carrington. It's actually called the Aon Training Complex or something like that. I don't think it's actually called Carrington. You look at a lot of other stadiums in England, in Europe. You got the Allianz Arena. You got the Etihad Stadium. You got the Emirates Stadium. You got all these stadiums that have. You got the Spotify Stadium, which is the Camp Nou. You've got a lot of stadiums that have this thing where they give away the naming rights of the stadium. They'll sign like a 10, 20, 30-year deal with a big brand. It's not, by the way, it's not small brands. It's not Adidas. Let me not disrespect Adidas, but it's not the sporting brands. These are commercial and corporate brands that will buy the rights to their stadium name, and with that they would get whole heaps of sponsorship. Now, of course, you see with Arsenal, they've got Emirates Stadium and they are sponsored by Emirates Airline as well, so it kind of makes sense. Even like same with Manchester City, they've got the naming rights of the Etihad Stadium and they sponsor the team as well. Same with Bayern Munich, they got Allianz Arena and they are sponsored by Allianz on their shirts. I think next season or this coming season, it will be a Snapdragon thing. I don't know what the name is in the middle of the shirt. I don't know if it's Snapdragon or whatever, or if it's going to be Ineos, or if it's going to be something associated with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, etc. Let me know how you lot feel about this kind of narrative of the name change. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I like the name Old Trafford. For me, Old Trafford will always be a historic name, and I will always call it I'll always call it Old Trafford, no matter today, even if they changed it to another name, if they changed it to the Manchester United Stadium, if they changed it to whatever, I will still continue to call it Old Trafford. And I will always do that in the same way that I call the Camp Nou, even though it's not called that, it's called the Spotify Stadium. The same way in the NBA, I still call the Lakers home stadium, I still call it Staples Center, and it's not even called that anymore. I will still call it that. Of course, it's very clear that Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe are trying to find ways to drive up revenue for the club. They need money. And that makes me think, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. And by the way, I say that a lot on stream. I feel like I say it every day on stream, but I don't want to be I don't want conspiracies and that stuff. But it does make me think that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is hoping to build a self-sufficient model for Manchester United that will generate a lot of revenue, rather than using money from the Ineos structure to invest in the club. But hey, we don't need to get too into that. But another thing that Ineos have now decided to do, some of you lot might say you don't care, but I say I care. So I'm going to speak about it. Manchester United women state-of-the-art complex training facilities was built for them this season. It was a few years in the works. They finally moved in, and now it's been announced that Manchester United women will move out of their new training complex to accommodate the men's team, and there will be temporary porter cabins set up across Carrington training complex to accommodate for the women's team. So what does that mean, guys? It means that when Man United women finally had better facilities, by the way, guys, for the last number of years, especially since returning as a football club at the women's team, there was times where they used to have toilets, porta cabin toilets. They didn't have any facilities. Now they've got state of the art. I think it was 10 million was spent to build it under the previous regime. They will now be moving out of those facilities to allow the men's team to use it. By the way, it's not the training pitch. It's none of that. It's the actual facilities. It's the gyms. It's the training rooms. It's the weights rooms. It's the physio rooms. It's the dressing rooms. It's all of that kind of stuff. Renovation has begun on a 50 million investment for the men's team to modernize the first team building at Carrington. Congratulations to the women's team, because they will still be allowed to use the canteen apparently, but they just cannot use all the other facilities that Manchester United made a whole song and dance about it. Now, like I said, what does this include? This includes changing rooms. This includes team meeting rooms. This includes what else? This includes office spaces, communal areas, etc. But they will continue to use the pitches that they've been using, and obviously the canteen. Now, Manchester United reportedly have been exploring alternative options for some time regarding this, and felt like this was the best choice to go down. One source this was broken by, shout out to The Guardian and Tom Gary, shout out to him, who broke the news yesterday. They said that the women's team is perceived, according to a source in the squad, or a source close to the squad, has suggested that the women's team feel like they are not perceived to be a priority at the club. Now, this is off the back of Sir Jim Ratcliffe choosing to go to Old Trafford versus Arsenal instead of going to the FA Cup final, which Manchester United went on to win. This is off the back of multiple players over the next couple of days will be announced that they're leaving on free agencies. And some of them quite important players. So I kind of understand where that testament of that feeling comes from. And then on top of that, to get state-of-the-art facilities, who some of these players, by the way, the likes of Leah Golton, Katie Zellem, Millie Turner, they've been around since Manchester United were basically peeing in porta cabins, since the women's team had nowhere to change and had nowhere to eat. They've been at Man United since then. So for them to then get a 10 million investment facility, be able to finally use it, and then be told, actually, guys, back to the drawing board for the whole season. You lot are going back to where you were before, and we're putting up porta cabins. I know a lot of people are saying it's just temporary, but I just don't see, like, you wouldn't see that happening to the academy team. You would not see that happening to the academy team. And I feel like with Ineos, the women's team are a third, fourth, fifth thought. They are an afterthought, and they are trying to figure out what they need to do with the men's team before they figure out what they're doing with the women's team. But I just think it's small things like this that are very, very unfortunate. But that's just the news surrounding Manchester United, outside of kind of football stuff. But we're going to go into the details. We're going to go into the details. We're going to talk about Ruud van Nistelrooy. We're going to talk about Erik Ten Hag, who reportedly contract signed on the dotted line, set to be announced. That is done. Van Nistelrooy, second in charge for Erik Ten Hag. And then we're going to go on and talk about all the transfer news. And there's quite a bit of, by the way, transfer news regarding that. So be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe as well. Big up to Hasnain, says, hi, it's your best friend Usman. Big up to Usman. Looking forward to your replies. I know it's a bit off topic, but when do you think England are going out of the Euros? Big up to Flex and KG. Love the show. Keep going. Not Flex and KG getting a shout out on my channel. Big up to Usman. Where do I think England are going in the Euros? Well, they've got an easy. I think they're on the easy side of the bracket. I think the difficult side is the side of France and Portugal and Spain, etc. Which will, I think, the champion of the Euros will come from that side. I don't see England making it past the quarters. I think if they get anything further than the quarters, it's going to be purely based on luck. I'm not kidding, guys. Yesterday's game, or just both games from Group C, absolute snooze fest. Wallahi, no team in that group deserved to go through. It was so boring. And it's funny how the last 5 minutes of the game was the most entertaining. I have my thoughts of Harry Kane, even Jude Bellingham, who I don't think has been impressive. But sometimes I don't want to kind of clamp down on the players too much, because I just feel like the system is really failing them. Southgate is a joke. And England will never win anything with Southgate. So that's my thoughts. I think maybe quarters will be the furthest England get, but I wouldn't be surprised if they crash out round of 16. Honestly, if they get a Netherlands, if they get like a even if they get like a Turkey or something like that, if they get one of the unexpected teams that are in the round of 16, I think that they will get a job done on them. The only thing that I think, who's the best player that I've seen for England? Mark Gahey. He's been the best, but it just means it will drive up his price, unfortunately. But on the topic of Ruud van Nistelrooy, I thought it was only fitting. You know what, guys? I'm not joking, yeah? Next season, I've seen the United leaks for the United shirts. They look amazing. I am getting a Ruud van Nistelrooy number 10 shirt. I am going to get one. Or I might just have to go into the archives and try find a vintage Vodafone shirt with Van Nistelrooy on the back. I need a Van Nistelrooy shirt somehow, some way. It is expected that he will come in to be Erik Ten Hag's second in command. He's going to be the number 2. That means, I think, Mitchell van der Gaag, Erik Ten Hag's right-hand man, will be departing. It's kind of been alluded to over the last couple of weeks, and during the review process that Ineos were undertaking, it was suggested from months ago that they were looking to bring in their own assistant coach. And that really makes me think, obviously, the more I read about Van Nistelrooy, and I was watching PSV whilst he was the coach because I liked a few players there. I liked Ibrahim Sangare, etc. So I used to watch it quite a bit. It really makes me think that Ineos like something that they see in Ruud van Nistelrooy, where they feel like getting him in the door now will be better than anything else. It will be better than getting him 2 years from now if Erik Ten Hag's contract expires and they choose not to continue with him. If they might choose to part ways with Erik Ten Hag at some point, they definitely feel like, and this is just my opinion, I think they definitely feel like bringing Ruud van Nistelrooy in now, settling him in, getting him in and around the culture and the space and this kind of project that they're trying to build, I think he might be a long-term solution. I think that's how Ineos see it. I watched, and like I said, I spoke about in the last video, the coaches' voices. They do some great pieces, not just with him, but they do some great videos with a lot of coaches, and they do articles as well. If you don't want video format, you can read the articles. He did a great kind of play-by-play of how he defends, or how he wants his team to defend, how he wants his team to attack. The idea of the 2-10s, which is something Erik Ten Hag has kind of been adamant at all times. And of course, you know, I really think with Erik Ten Hag staying, and I said this a couple of days ago, I said his contract staying will weigh heavily on Ruud van Nistelrooy coming in the door. So the quicker they kind of come to an agreement with Erik Ten Hag, the quicker that he will come in through the door. Because essentially it might mean that Mitchell van der Gaag will leave. I don't know if Benny McCarthy will stay. I know that he's been linked to a move in America, to go to America. Of course, his contract actually finishes, so they have to offer him a new contract by what? Sunday? Sunday is the 30th of June, so that's when his contract expires. So that is essentially, I think, the plan. In terms of Erik Ten Hag, contract has agreed. Fabrizio, you know Fabrizio, shout out to Fabrizio. My guy just posts every day, just change the wording a little bit, but post the same thing. But essentially, the last information shared by him, which was yesterday, was to suggest that Erik Ten Hag is set to sign the contract and almost everything has been agreed. I'm going to wait for, when David Ornstein comes with the simple thing, the one tweet, bam, that's how we listen. That's who we listen to, David Ornstein. But essentially, I don't doubt anything that Fabrizio says either. I think it's just a matter of time before they announce it. Preseason starts. Players will report on the 8th. Yeah, players report for duty on the 8th of July. A lot of players will be reporting for duty, including, I think they're saying that they expect Mason Greenwood to report for duty if he's not sold. They expect Jadon Sancho to report for duty if he's not sold by the 8th of July, which is in 2 Mondays. And once that all kind of happens, I think they want this to be done. I think they want this to be done. I think they want the Erik Ten Hag situation to be over with. I think they want their second in charge to come in the door, and they want to start pre-season just with a bit of comfortability in the dugout. And when I say comfortability, I don't mean what, like, putting everything from last season behind us. I mean more so just allowing the two of them to kind of get cracking. Because essentially, for me, it's interesting because Ruud van Nistelrooy has been offered multiple jobs as a manager. He's been offered, he's being looked at for the Burnley role. He's being looked at for Club Bruges. There's teams in Germany and Spain that are interested in him. He's been in and around the coaching atmosphere for over 10 years now. He's, been a second in command to Gus Hiddink at the Netherlands in 2014 when they were at the World Cup. He's obviously gone through the PSV rank, going from under 17s to under 19s to the first team. He's won 2 trophies with them. He's been in and around life as a head coach, as a manager, and it seems like now he's more intrigued about being a second in command at Old Trafford than being a first in command at Turf Moor, or somewhere else, if you know what I'm trying to allude to. So what I'm saying is that the idea of Ruud van Nistelrooy turning down head coaching roles to be a second in command with Erik Ten Hag really makes me feel like they are essentially nurturing. They're going to bring him in and nurture him so that one day he could be the manager. I'm not saying he's going to be the manager next season. I'm not saying it's going to be in 6 months' time. I'm looking long term. Shout out to Marcel. He's been telling us for ages to look long term. Look at the 5-year plan. Look into the future kind of thing. I'm looking ahead. I'm thinking, well, Ineos clearly like something about Van Nistelrooy. They clearly like something about his coaching philosophy. They like something about him as a person. He speaks English. He speaks Dutch. He speaks multiple languages. He's fluent in English. He's been in the Premier League. He's been at Manchester United, Hell, I would even say that he's one of the best strikers that Manchester United had in the 2000s. That's, for me, not a doubt. He's been one of the best number 10s as well. And on top of that, he knows how to work with young players. Jarrad Branthwaite, Xavi Simons, all these players that he had at PSV that he had the opportunity to develop, that he kind of ticks all the boxes for Manchester United and Ineos. And I'm really intrigued to see how it is. One thing I hope, and I definitely want to hear your thoughts, one thing I do hope is that it's not a clash of personalities. You know, the two Dutch people, hopefully they're going to be understanding each other. Hopefully Ruud van Nistelrooy won't overstep his mark of what his role is at the club. And hopefully Erik Ten Hag won't kind of make him feel like he's not part of, quotation marks, the process, and make him kind of take a backseat. I'm just hoping that it's just it's just good vibes. I'm just hoping it's good vibes. On the topic of, obviously, Ruud van Nistelrooy, and on the topic of him working with Jarrad Branthwaite, just some information on the Jarrad Branthwaite process, or the deal, or negotiations, etc. Everton are in no place reportedly to make a panic sale of valuation. Now, it was coming into the last week or so, it was suggested that this would be an important week for Everton. Now they are comfortable and in a position where they don't feel like they have to lower their valuation to make a quick sell before the end of the financial year. The financial year ends on the 30th of June. And for FFP and PSR purposes, they are comfortable enough to continue to hold out for that 70 million valuation. It's reported that 70 million is what they value him at, or in excess of 70 million. So essentially a base fee plus add-ons. Now, Everton have also been getting it cracking. They've also been getting it cracking in the transfer window. They've actually been getting it cracking in the transfer window. Let me pull it up quickly. Let's not think that these lot ain't got money. Let's not think that these men are broke. They ain't broke. They got money. Where is it? Hold up. Let me put it on the screen just now. Here it is. And this is actually an interesting one because I liked this guy when he was at Sheffield United. I actually liked him. Ilman Dia. If you lot know, you know. They've spent 15 million on him. So they are clearly comfortable. They are happy with what the situation that they find themselves in. He will be joining Everton, currently undergoing his medical. Of course, they've got players leaving as well. They're trying to get rid of players like Dominic Calvert-Lewin. They might be listening to offers for Amadou Onana. They are listening to offers, obviously, for Jarrad Branthwaite as well. But let's not be fooled. Everton are comfortable right now. Everton are in a comfortable position right now where they are okay with not having to sell people and not of big fees anyways, because they're Gucci. They're Gucci. Blue Dabba says, surprised Erik Ten Hag wants Ruud since he didn't want any help from Ralph. Maybe club decision. I think it is a club decision. I do think it's a club decision, and I think this was probably part of the terms and agreement of Erik Ten Hag maybe staying on, is that Ineos will bring in someone who they think is right for the assistant coach role. Because if they can't replace the coach, they will replace the people that are sitting with him in the dugout. And I think that's what they kind of do. Big up to Ralph Rangnick, by the way. Finished top of, they were calling it the group of death. And my guy finished top of that table and absolutely slapped up every team. Even the French, by the way, Austria versus France, can I say, I think Austria could have, if they had a bit more instinct in front of goal and they didn't score an own goal, I think it would have been a completely different result. But they absolutely slapped everybody else. And the Netherlands should be absolutely embarrassed with themselves. You know what? Yeah, I was saying this yesterday when I was watching the Netherlands game. And I was saying, I don't know how the Netherlands went from having absolute wonders play for them to just having this in the Euros, what we're seeing right now. If I was a Dutch fan, I would be so annoyed. But hey ho, shout out to Ralph Rangnick and everything he's doing. Just because it didn't work at United doesn't mean that it really had to, like, it wouldn't work out for him after that. And also, he believed in himself to turn down the Bayern Munich job because he believes in the Austria role and what he's building. But big up to him. Just on Jarrad Branthwaite, like I mentioned, not really much news surrounding him in terms of United going back for a second bid. But it looks like United are turning away from the idea of paying big fees for Jarrad Branthwaite, and they are taking legal action against UEFA. Big up to Ed for that information in the chat. I'm definitely going to come to that later on in the stream. But it looks like they are taking legal action against UEFA regarding Jean-Claire Todibo. Ineos have hired a lawyer in an attempt to unblock the transfer of Jean-Claire Todibo from OGC Nice to Manchester United. Is there really any way that, do you guys feel like there's any way of them actually getting around this idea of because a part of me just doesn't think there's much room or much legs to stand on. A part of me thinks there's not much to stand on in terms of, when I say there's not much to stand on, I mean like the idea that you're taking UEFA to the court of, I think, arbitration, the court of arbitration and sports. That's what they're taking them to. They're taking them to that court. Hired already the lawyer that they want, the lawyer that they kind of have in mind, and already have their argument in place. I think they're arguing other teams. I'm seeing clubs buy players. Yeah. I'm seeing groups, football groups buy players and then choose where they're going to send that player to out of all the clubs that they own. I don't know how that's a thing. But the second that United kind of start fishing into that area, it's not allowed. It's not allowed. The second that they try to get active and start doing what other clubs are doing, it's not allowed. And I just, for some reason, I don't get that. Do you think Manchester United will be successful in that idea? Do you even think, one thing I just want to say quickly on Jean-Claire Todibo, Manchester United have been linked to him since last year. Manchester United have been linked to him. Since then, they didn't make a move for him. They didn't make a bid for him. There was no kind of pieces of the puzzle moving around or anything. None of that stuff. However, why did United not buy him last year when he was clearly available and on the market? And if the Glazers, I'm not saying do something illegal, but if the Glazers knew that Ineos were front runners in the situation in August, September, it wasn't announced till November, but I'm definitely under the impression that they knew who was the favored people that they were going to go with. Surely they could have come to an agreement at some point. I just can't understand how it's not. I don't know. It's quite frustrating. You look at other clubs. You look at Manchester City, who are part of their City group. You look at RB Leipzig again. Of course, it makes the situation worse because Manchester United and OGC Nice are both playing in Europe. However, one thing I want to understand, and maybe I should actually go away and read the UEFA rulebook, is it any sort of ownership that you have in the club, whether it's minority or majority? Because I was always under the impression that it was, if you had a majority involvement of ownership, then these kind of situations would arise. But I was under the idea that because that it was a minority ownership for Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos, that Manchester United would not be hindered. Because when they were in the process of buying Manchester United, surely this has come up. Surely this would have come up as a cause for concern. In financial terms, they call it going concern. In accounting terms, they call it going concern. I'm sure it would have come up whether or not this would be a problem in the long term. And I know that there's news out there a couple of weeks ago suggesting that Ineos are looking to maybe part ways and sell Nice. But surely this was a red flag that was kind of notified, because otherwise that just means you're not really doing your due diligence. That's what I think. RB Salzburg sold Tesco to Leipzig when both teams were in the UCL. There you go. It seems like they've changed the rules. I think someone was saying on Twitter the other day that they had changed the rules last season, and Man United obviously are impacted by it because of that, whereas in the past clubs were not impacted by that. The most frustrating thing is that we don't know how to make any deal simple. When has Simple and Man United ever kind of coexisted together? When has Simple and Manchester United ever coexisted? together. If the argument is RB Salzburg and Leipzig have completely different people on the board, so do Nice and Man United. We different. I think is maybe that's why Ineos are looking to sell Nice. I mean, if I was Nice fans, I'd be annoyed, because how you coming in and as soon as you get a new shiny toy, you pass up on the market and sell. But to be honest, maybe the Nice fans want them to be sold. I don't know. I'm just here. I'm just kind of speculating on that. But I hope that this is not. I'm not gonna say. I don't want to be harsh, but I hope that this is not just like a quick what's the word? A quick I'm trying to think of the right word. And I got this flipping fan just blowing in my face. I hope that this is just not a quick solution for Manchester United centre back thing, because United have, like, one thing I don't get it is that Todibo has been on the radar of Man United for a very long time. It's not he hasn't just popped up now when Sir Jim Ratcliffe has brought the club. He's been on the radar already. However, if it's Branthwaite and Todibo, one or the other, you can't tell me that there's not other defenders that would literally save you time and probably save you money. Suddenly, Man United have money to pay for legal fees. They got money to pay for a lawyer to take UEFA to court. Suddenly, they got money to pay for Dan Ashworth's legal fees. Suddenly, they got all that money, but then, you know, in the back end of stuff, they're forcing people to take voluntary redundancies. Like, sometimes it just doesn't make sense. One thing I've gathered is that Ineos are trying to save money where they can, but it looks like the decision making when it comes to money cannot be realistic, because how can you say that the club has a strict budget? Financially, they're not in a good position and you need to improve the financial situation at the club, and then you say, let's take UEFA to court. That's not going to cost £10, guys. It's not going to be like it's not going to be some normal legal fees where it's like £100 day rate for a lawyer. It's not going to be that. Now, I don't know how realistic this is. Obviously, this has been reported this morning that Manchester United are looking to do this, and they've already hired the lawyer that they want. I'm just thinking, is that all of your baskets in the idea of Branthwaite or Todibo? I'm 100% certain there are other defenders on the market. I'm 100% certain that Manchester United have the right recruitment team and scouting team to find these other defenders. Obviously, we're going to talk about Euro, who's probably going to Real Madrid. I just don't understand why is it the end all or be all with Todibo. Now, on the topic of transfers, this was a few days ago. I remember talking about this guy when he was at Sporting. And I remember PSG brought him, and I thought, what the hell are PSG doing? Because I just didn't see him fitting into PSG system at the time. I didn't see him fitting into the French league at all either. But it's reported that Manchester United are interested in Manuel Ugarte. 52 million or 51 million pounds is what PSG spent on him. That's what they spent on him. It's reported that Man United's offer, that was rejected. This was a rejection of an offer for him. He's a midfielder, by the way, for those of you who are wondering. It was in and around the 25 million mark. PSG want at least 50 million for him. Now, again, if a club like PSG, who we already know, these men got money. Yeah, they're Qatari owned. They have money comfortably. Yeah, but they also have very poor I don't think people talk enough about the very poor recruitment strategy at PSG, because I think they treat it like a game. I genuinely feel like they treat it like a game. The people that they buy, they went out and brought Kolo Muani for 70 million. I think it was around the same price they paid for Gonzalo Ramos. Obviously, they bought Ugarte. They buy so many people so unrealistically and then part ways with them. Ugarte is just another name on that list. 25 million is lowballing, but it seems like that's the strategy for Manchester United right now, where they're trying to gauge and they're trying to test the waters and see what clubs are willing to accept. 50 million for a guy that you willingly want to sell. This is, by the way, this is not PSG refusing to sell him and saying he's off limits. This is PSG saying, take this guy. Just 50 million price tag. That shows already how poor their recruitment strategy is. Number one. Number two, I understand United lowballing offers to start with, But if your budget for a midfielder is 25 to 30 million, rather than spending time chasing a player or trying to negotiate with a team that will not budge on their price tag, go and find a player that is actually at that valuation already. Go and get a Yusuf Fofana. His price tag is actually 25 million. I would be happy if United got Ugarte for say 35 million and they brought Fofana and they brought in 2 midfielders for 70 million or 60 million, 65 million. I'd be happy with that. PSG do what I do in Football Manager, buy all the wonder kids and do it later. Don't get me started on Chelsea right now. Don't get me started on what Chelsea are doing right now, because I saw they just brought a kid from Barcelona and I'm just like, didn't you lot just spend 40 million on another wonder kid from Brazil? And you've already got 10 wonder kids in your team and you're giving them 7-year contracts, 8-year contracts. And now they are linked to Alexander Isak, who reportedly will cost them more than Moises Caicedo. Investigate them, because I don't know how the hell they're paying for all this stuff. The thing is I can't look at other people's recruitment strategy sideways, because United's recruitment strategy is a hot mess. It's a hot mess. PSG is all about the name, nothing special. 100%. It's nothing really that special about PSG, especially in recent time. Reportedly now, PSG are open to loaning out Manuel Ugarte to Manchester United with an option to buy. He is willing to leave, so he wants to leave the club. Clearly, he's not happy with how things have kind of played out for him, which I don't really blame him. I had high hopes for him. Now, yesterday, it was reported that United were interested, and then it was reported they put in a bid that was rejected, and now it's reported that they are still interested in him and want to go for him. It's as simple as that. He is still on the radar of Manchester United. Big up to everyone. If you've just come through, be sure to hit the like button, guys, and be sure to subscribe as well. If you want to join the Minions gang, you can. It's the pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges, you get your emojis, you get your chance of, obviously, you get your opportunities to use all the different content, member-only content. We've got member-only live stream coming, inshallah, this week, especially with the Euros dying down tomorrow and the day after that. And then the Euros, I think, is back on the weekend. So we'll do some member-only content as well. We will do some non-Man United content as well, like similar to these kind of streams, but just for all other European clubs and talking about all the other transfers heading in and around. And of course, I don't know, guys, if you're a gamer, would you be open? Would you want to do like a run-through, a playthrough of Elden Ring? I'm trying to, because I'm not good at Elden Ring, and I wouldn't mind playing it on stream if the chat will help me and we will play the game together. So if that's something of interest for you guys, definitely do let me know. Obviously, it's non-Man United stuff, it's non-football content, but you know me, I love gaming, so that's no secret. But back to talk on Manuel Ugarte. Alone, it won't be the worst thing. I don't think it will be the worst thing. I think it depends on also what the idea of the loan fee will be. If it's going to be a 15 million loan fee, nah. You couldn't hack Elden Ring. I could hack it. I could hack Elden Ring. I mean, I've seen you play FIFA. Leave the Elden cheeks alone. Listen. I've played things like Spider-Man. I've done Assassin's Creed. I need to go back to Assassin's Creed. I need to play more of those type of games if I'm going to take my gaming content seriously. I might start a second channel for just gaming stuff, and that way I don't mix up my streams here and there. And I could just do my gaming stuff on one channel and then football stuff on another channel, but we'll see. No one's good at Elden Ring. My nephew he platinumed it. My nephew platinumed Elden Ring months ago, and obviously the new DLC is out, so everybody's talking about it. Everyone's talking about it right now. All my friends are talking about it. All my friends have left Call of Duty to go and play Elden Ring, so I feel a bit left out. I'm not gonna lie. I'm feeling a little bit left out. So that's the only reason why I'm actually considering to play Elden Ring. What type of game is it? Bro, I don't even know. I just see people running around with like swords on their back and all of this stuff. I don't know what the game is. Do Assassin's Creed. I will do Assassin's Creed. I started it here on the channel and then I just never got around to finishing it. Elden Ring is on another level. You're not ready for the drama it will bring. So what is this you lot saying to me? Play Elden Ring? Because if this is you lot saying, Minna, play it and we'll watch and we'll laugh at you, I will do it. I will absolutely do it. Especially because I spend a lot of time gaming anyways. So I don't know. Same nephew. You blame the yeah, same nephew. Same nephew. I'm a disgrace. I'm such a shit auntie, man. I'm such a bad auntie. But big up to everyone. Like I said, be sure to hit the like button, guys, and be sure to subscribe. If you want to send in super chats, you can. It supports the channel, it supports the growth, and all of that stuff. And of course, if you're appreciating the content and you just want to show some appreciation, that is another reason why you can do that. Minna, I've never seen your hair, but if you play Elden Ring, I guarantee you'll have none. Is it that bad? Is it that scary? Is it scary, or is it like just difficult? Because if it's difficult, I can do it. But if it's scary, that's where I draw the line. Because I don't like scary stuff. So if it's scary or if it's difficult, let me know. Or is it both? Everybody's talking about the DLC. Like everywhere I'm going, I'm seeing people talking about the DLC, people that I know, etc., content creators, etc. So I'm really curious. Difficult, can't even describe it. Wow, is that bad? Well, I thought it was going to be like Spider-Man, guys. I thought, yeah, I'm just going to pull up and swing around in buildings. Damn. All right. Well, challenge accepted in that case. Challenge accepted. Just a brief update. You know what? That guy on Sky Sports, what's his name? Dharmesh Sheth. He reminds me a bit about Fabrizio. He reminds me a little bit of Fabrizio. The reason why I'm saying that is, I know for me, David Ornstein, tier 1. David Ornstein is in his own category. There's nobody on the same level as David Ornstein. Then after that, I would say that there's a tier of reporters. There's tier 2. I say Fabrizio comes into tier 2. Then there's a few other people that come into tier 2. And then there's people like Ben Jacobs and that bottom. Dharmesh, to me, reminds me of Fabrizio because he says stuff that's not really different to what he has said a week ago. It's just a different adjective or a different noun or a different verb being used in the sentence. So the latest update that he gave Sky Sports earlier today, just like about an hour or so ago, was that Joshua Zirkzee to Manchester United is edging forward. Edging forward how? Edging forward that they're close to a deal. Edging forward that they're close to agreeing compensation with his agent, because apparently that was what was holding this process back. What was holding this process back was the compensation and the agent fees, which is so funny the day and age that we live in now, guys, when it comes to football, because there was a time where this kind of information wouldn't even be available to us. There was a time where this kind of information would be available to us, but we wouldn't know what the holdup is with transfers. Now, we are fully aware of the ins and outs of whether it's being held up on the player side. If it's the player side, is it his agent that's holding it up? Is it his mum that's holding it up? Is it his girlfriend that doesn't want to move? Shout out to Frankie de Jong's girl. Is it his girlfriend that doesn't want to move, so she's hindering his opportunity to leave? Is it on the club side? Is it the CEO not wanting to sell the player, etc., etc.? Nowadays, with transfer news, a lot of it is regurgitated, of course. But when there is clear moves, we know about it. And I think with the Joshua Zirkzee stuff, there's nothing really there that has changed from the last situation. The last situation was that Manchester United and his camp were in talks. And on top of that, Manchester United were notifying his club, Bologna, that they will trigger his release clause of 40 million. Now, it's also no secret, and it's been obvious for a minute, that Zirkzee prefers AC Milan, but AC Milan are not happy to pay the 40 million release clause. So that information has been known to the public. We've been aware of it. I don't think anything has changed. I think Manchester United are still in talks with him. Whether or not they will come to a deal anytime soon, I don't think so. I think he's away with the Netherlands at the Euros, so nothing's really going to change, even though he ain't playing. And on top of that, I just think that Man United are making sure they dot their T's. They're making sure they cross their T's and dot their I's before they approach the club and trigger the release clause. Because once you approach the club and trigger the release clause, that's it. It's essentially a done deal. But they want to make sure that the player is on board the player and his agent is on board, and they've agreed personal terms on that end, because, you know, the club side is very, very easy. It's not really difficult in terms of what's happening there. So that's the latest with him. Nothing really changed. Branthwaite, nothing really changed. The only real thing that has changed for Manchester United in the transfer window in terms of incomings is that they are now looking at taking legal action for Todibo, and they've put in a bid for Ugarte that was rejected. Now, on the topic of outgoings, because we haven't touched the topic of outgoings, shout out to my boy Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Victor Lindelof. Everton are reportedly interested in signing both of them. Everton went from having no money 2 weeks ago and being on the verge of basically being penalized again, to now being interested in and buying players all over the place. So it's reported that Victor Lindelof and Aaron Wan-Bissaka are on the radar of Everton. These two as well are on other clubs' radar. I think Wan-Bissaka is on the radar of Galatasaray, and as well Inter Milan. And also same for Victor Lindelof. Manchester United will look to sell a centre-back. I think they will look to sell one or two. I think it'll be Lindelof and maybe Maguire. Maybe not with Maguire. I don't know where Maguire's future lies at the club right now. But essentially, a centre-back will be leaving, and a centre-back will definitely be coming in. The centre-back that won't be coming in is Leny Yoro. Manchester United have reportedly accepted that their target, Leny Yoro, is expected to join Real Madrid. Now, Real Madrid will obviously just need to agree terms with his club. But listen, the world of football has always been, when Real Madrid come knocking, players will go. Whether it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 10 years ago, players have a dream of playing for Real Madrid, of wearing that shirt. And I think that they just needed to get Nacho out, which he's left, or he is leaving, or he's already left. I'm not too sure, but I know that he's definitely leaving the club. They just needed to get him out and just be sure that they can bring Leny Yoro in, which was going to be the case. That was going to be the case. Now, Man United were linked to him, and Man United were interested in him, and Man United did approach him and approach the club. But I feel like once they kind of gathered that his heart was set already on going elsewhere, and he had already agreed terms with another club, Man United don't want to waste their time. And I don't want them to do that with Joshua Zirkzee. Like, I genuinely don't want them to waste their time with Joshua Zirkzee. So that is just some little information on Leny Yoro. I think that'll be the last time I talk about him on this transfer streams that we do every day, just because he's not coming to United. Casemiro, our very own Brazilian midfielder. Let me see what the chat is saying actually quickly. Why are you not watching the Euros? Because that group is actually an interesting group, because everybody's on 3 points in that group. But I'll probably just catch the second half of it. Lindelof is not going anywhere. I will personally pay for his salary if it's necessary. Just need to take out a couple hundred of loans. He's going. I'm sorry to tell you, but he's gone. Leny Yoro to Madrid makes sense. Thatcher left. Alaba is 32. Rudiger is 31. He'll play a lot of games eventually. Yeah, it's just about playing the waiting game. I think his for him is just about playing the waiting game. Reportedly, Saudi Arabian clubs are still interested in Casemiro. They are looking to convince the player before making an offer to Manchester United, because we spoke about it. Why is there a kid just singing outside of my window? Are they singing Frozen? I think they're singing that song from Frozen. They're looking to convince the player before they approach Manchester United directly, which is reported that he does need a bit of convincing. The fee that they would be looking at to pay for Casemiro would be up to 40 million euros. So that's about 35-ish million pounds, plus add-ons, which could take it to about 50 million. So I think United could get 35 million plus for him, which would include add-ons. I just don't see whether they would get a drastic amount. I don't see them getting a 60 million, 50 million. I don't see them recouping anything that they spent on him in the first place. And Casemiro, again, is just one of those signings for me that is just unfortunate. It's just unfortunate, the situation that occurred with him, because he wasn't ever, I think, an interest of Manchester United. I think it was just a panic buy that they went on to kind of go and get, because off the back of missing out on Frankie de Jong, etc. And I think, Real Madrid were ready to part ways with him. rule number one, guys. Rule number one: if Real Madrid are ready to part ways with a player, United need to stop buying him. We did it with Casemiro. I'm not gonna butcher Varane too much, but we did it with Varane. We did it with Di Maria. When Real Madrid are ready to part ways with their player, we need to stop giving them a lifeline and paying stupid money to bring that player in. Like, it honestly needs to come to an end. That needs to stop. And it's funny because Real Madrid are so stacked right now. It's ridiculous. They got Endrick. They got Arda Güler. They've got a lot of young talents. They got Camavinga, obviously. They got Tchouaméni. Cruz has retired. They still got Modric. They got Valverde. They've got Rodrigo. They got Vinicius. Now they got Mbappe. They'll get Lenny Yoro. They might get Alphonso Davies. I see Trent going to Real Madrid at some point in my lifetime. I genuinely see Trent going there. It's just ridiculous. But Man United need to stop giving a lifeline to people like Real Madrid, where they're ready to part ways with a player, and we tell them, you know what? Come right over. We will take them right off your hands. But big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. I don't think there's any goals yet in any of... Oh my God, these kids are screaming outside. But yeah, I don't think there's any goals yet in any of the... Let me just double check. In any of the Euros games. DiMarzio is reporting that Manchester United have inquired about Bologna's striker Dan Doye. He has previously played for Ineos-owned clubs Lassana and Nice. I will be so honest with you guys. I don't know much about him. So if I was to give you lot any kind of opinion right now, it would be... I'll not be doing any justice to what I do, like research it, because I like to always research stuff before I go and talk about it. So what I will do is research this and maybe talk about him on tomorrow's stream. But that is it. That's all we have here for today's stream. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. For those of you that watch Manchester United Women and keep up with Manchester United Women, there'll be a video dropping at 7 p.m. talking about all the recent Manchester United Women news, transfers, behind the scenes stuff, etc., etc. So be sure to check that out as well. Be sure to hit the like button. If you're watching this back, be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. We just got to 4.4k subs, so big up to everybody. Next step for me, it's the road to 5k, then it's the road to 10k, then it's a road to like 100k. But it is what it is. Like I said, big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. If there is any other breaking news between now and tomorrow, I will be live as always. But if I'm not, big up to everyone, and I will catch you all on tomorrow's stream. You know what it is, man. Hit the like button, guys. Be sure to subscribe. If you want to join the Minions gang, you can. It's pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges, you get your emojis, you get your custom member content. And of course, you get to support the growth of the channel. But until next time, I'm out. Peace.